Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to this video where I'm going to be discussing something I call the 60 to 80 rule. Now, what it's going to be about is particularly finding a niche that is profitable, lucrative, and has a need for an agency. So, if you're looking at, hey, I'm not winning too much business, or I'm looking at what niche would be good for me, I'm going to brainstorm. I'm going to give you actual data that you can look at yourself in pretty much any market you're thinking about or looking to go into, and you can realize from the start, hey, look, this looks like a profitable niche. Then there's certain key metrics that you want to look for. If you meet these criterias, which I'm going to demonstrate in a second, you'll be on your way to picking a good niche. Now, up to you where you want to go down. If you want to go down, I don't know, teachers, manufacturing, farming, whatever niche you pick, these criteria have to be met in order for it to be good. Now, the reason I give these metrics out is so people can do their own research, find out exactly, hey, look, this is this a good niche or not. So the premise of it is what we're going to talk about, the 60 to 80 rule. Now that's a sort of divide and a split between agencies and employers, which we'll do a few trial runs. It helps you analyze the market. So there's certain things you want to look for as well, which we're going to talk about. Is there a large amount of job volume? So you might go into a sector where it's, there's 12 positions, and you think, all right, great. Um, I'll give you an example. A niche in cybersecurity, like executive level, there might be 12 jobs posted on Indeed, and actually that's not a big enough market, because if you can't win any of those clients, you're either got to wait for another client to come on, or just keep trying, and then you just don't come across as well. So you're looking at, general rule is, you're looking at about 500 jobs. That's with agencies and employers. Anything less than that, you're not really going to hit that even 30k mark per year. It's going to be very difficult. Um, it's possible, but it's difficult. So don't take this all with a pinch of salt. But after watching this video, you're going to find out exactly what you're looking for. So we're going to use a few examples. I'm going to do them now, and I'm going to explain the 60 to 80 rule. So what we're looking at with certain positions, and the key thing to mention is you want a niche where there is actually a need for recruitment agencies. So you don't want positions that are too easy to fill, too hard to fill as well, which is important. And we're going to go through that in a second. So what we want is a ratio from the key part is the employer to staffing agency. So what we want is about a 60 to 80% ratio. So if the employer has, let's say there's 1,000 jobs, you want between 600 and 800 agencies on that. So it's usually about a 60 to 80% ratio. That is a good number. I'll explain why. If it's too high, that means the position is difficult. If the agency is, let's say, 1,500 and the employer is that, it would be a 150 ratio. So it means that that position is too difficult to fill. Everyone is using agencies. So that means there's not many candidates in the market. And for a beginner without a database, starting an agency will be really difficult to do. So we're going to look at a few examples. So Nursery Nurse. Nursery Nurses are not too difficult. It's an application based and also a headhunting based as well. So looking at this, it looks like a semi-decent ratio. It looks about 60%. So I would say that's a decent niche. We can look at, if we put title, registered nurse, we can look at a ratio there. So it's pretty much the same as well. It's a good ratio, so nurses are good to recruit for. With that, I didn't put the whatever they're called. So this is about half. Yeah, so it's a little high. So I wouldn't say it's exactly the greatest on here with that. So I would say that's about 95%. So you can do it. It's just over my criteria, but it is difficult as well. So if we look at mental health nurse, which is another one, it's roughly the same as well. So I'm sorry I'm using just healthcare positions. So let's look at a customer service advisor. Let's see the ratio on this. So it's about half. It's just under half. So that would mean these positions are quite easy to recruit for companies, and it's not many agencies actually recruit in it. Well, half. So it's not too bad. If we look at care assistant is another example. of a position that's, generally 20,000 or lower. This is a really high ratio. So there's a 10,000 difference. We're probably looking at about 30% ratio on that. So it's not the greatest with that. So how do you find a niche? How do you pick a niche? I'll give you another one example. So public relations will be another one. And that's half. So I recommended this niche as well. So that is kind of in the criteria. Half of the people use agencies, and you must remember that sometimes there's multiple agencies working on one position as well. So that means that that company here might be using 6 agencies, or they might be using 2 agencies. So that number is it might be actually be 100 agencies to 1,000 employers. And don't forget, not every employer is actually recruiting at the moment. Sometimes they just post jobs as well. A lot of them are dummy jobs, especially in this market. They're not sure if they're going to hire. They might just put the advert out there to get someone cheap. Like, that position is probably not 60k, so it might be a bit more. So if they get someone for 60,000, they'll take them off of that. So another one we can look at is, what can we look at? E-commerce. And then we can look at some IT ones together as well. Now, e-commerce is another sector I recommend. That's about the half ratio. Now, if you're in the US or you're not on the UK job board, you can still do this on Indeed to get a rough idea as well. So you can go back to your job board. I know it doesn't have this feature. I haven't contacted Indeed just to see why they don't have that feature in the US as well. So e-commerce is about half. You don't want to see any less than 60%. So that's okay, I would say. Still worth going into as well off of that. Now we can look at cyber security. Bear in mind there's going to be a few apprentices on here as well. So cyber security is actually it doesn't meet the criteria. One, it doesn't have enough jobs, I feel. I don't actually recommend this sector at the moment as well. Now we could look at AI as well, which doesn't always come up because it picks up airport and other words as well. So we can look at the ratio on that. So that is in our criteria. So if you're looking at that, however, jobs quite low. If we look at Java developer, for example, it's another bad example of where it's, it can be a goodish ratio as well off of that. However, a lot of agencies just post jobs constantly all over the place just to get that, so it doesn't give an accurate indication. Again, JavaScript developer, surprisingly pretty good. However, we have to put it in the title to get an accurate reading off of that, because if we don't do that, it picks up just keywords. So it might be a recruitment agency saying, look, we recruit for Java developers. So that's the true ratio. Quite a low number actually. Now, don't forget, with these developer roles, most of them will be posted on, let's say, it'll be posted on LinkedIn if they're posted anywhere. A lot of companies don't tend to post it. They're going to be small companies with that. So I would say this is still a decent-ish market. However, there's double recruitment agencies, so it's a tough sector. So I wouldn't recommend it, and that's why I don't recommend it as well. A few other ideas, you could just put in, keywords like sectors. So farming is one I mentioned. It'll give you an indication. So that's like, 25% ratio, not good enough. We can put in engineering as well, and then you can find your niche within that. So that hits the mark as well. We can put social care. Again, that's a half ratio, so maybe not. We can put healthcare, and again, that's a decent ratio. That's exactly what we want. So with that being said, go onto a website, look up all the details in terms of niches. It's quite easy. You'll be surprised at the amount of positions that are, hey, look, it doesn't meet the criteria. So just to recap, what you're looking at is a 60 to 80% ratio from employer posting to staffing agencies, and use it to analyze the market. This is the best way to pick your niche, or at least get some data without you having to waste weeks, hours of agony going through everything. You want at least 500 jobs, whether that's on Indeed, whether that's on LinkedIn, wherever. and you want a good ratio. You don't want it above, like 150, like we just saw the JavaScript developer. It's like 150% more. So hope this video helped. If you like it, let me know. If you've got any questions, let me know. Take care.